Welcome to Creative Mornings, Oakland. Happy fall, happy Halloween weekend to you all. To speak on behalf of Oakland today, we have Nate Stanton. So Nate has worked in the animation industry for 20 years. 18 of these years he's been at Pixar Animation Studios in Emeryville. He's worked as a storyboard artist on films such as A Bug's Life, Toy Story 2, Finding Nemo, Monsters, Inc., and many, many more. Prior to that, he worked at Skellington Studios as a 2D artist on films such as Nightmare Before Christmas and James and the Giant Peach. He's a graduate of the Cal Institute of Arts. He and his wife and 2 kids are proud Oakland residents. It's an honor to welcome up on stage. Please give a big hand to Nate Stanton.
Well, I'm really excited to do this. My wife Esther did this last year, and I was kind of excited to get asked to do this, especially around Halloween, because I thought of shock. What really is that? It's a lot of different things, and I did look in the dictionary, and it's described as a sudden or violent disturbance or commotion, which could be anything. But I really love cinema. As you guys know, I've been at Pixar for over 19 years, and my true love, as my wife knows, is really horrible horror movies that she never wants to watch with me. And so I thought I'd kind of focus on shocking imagery, shocking cinema, and what that is. Who likes horror movies here? Who likes, oh, right, that's good. Yeah, nice. Excellent. Okay, for those, think about this. Whoever knows what this image is, this is a character from a horror movie. Whoever shouts it out first gets a drawing of Wall-E for me. Anybody? Oh, got to put your thinking cap on. Now, okay, I'm going to let you think on it. Okay, so shock. Yeah, I kind of thought about all the things that I grew up with. I'm a child of the 70s and 80s, and I loved seeing all that stuff. My father took me to see a lot of inappropriate films that have sort of formulated and shaped my love of sort of shocking imagery and horror movies. So yes, I worked on all of these movies and more, and one of the shocking things for me to think about is that I'm still employed there. It's kind of insane because the amount of talent there it's just mind-blowing. So you have to focus on doing the best work that you can do. So yeah, Bug's Life, Toy Story 2, Monsters Incorporated, Finding Nemo, Ratatouille, Wall-E, Cars 2, Brave. I just wrapped off 3 years of work on Coco, which is the Dia de los Muertos film. That'll be coming out in 2017. I worked on that for 3 years, and nothing is in production yet, just to show you how long story takes. And they're still working on it. So I'm in between projects now, and excited to be able to have the time to do this. So yes, before this, Nightmare Before Christmas, again, shocked that I even worked on this movie, because that was my very first job. I was very lucky and had a classmate who was doing story and 2D animation on this film. And so all the ghosts you see flying around in that movie, that's the stuff that I worked on. Young, 22-year-old, eager. Yeah, I'll sweep the floors, whatever. It was really exciting, and it was made in South of Market in some old studio, and it was a wonderful experience. So yeah, shock. This image is from a movie called Good Night, Mommy. Anybody seen this movie? It's brand new, it's out, I haven't seen it, dying to see it. And I really want to see it because I am a twin. I have a twin brother. And these 2 twin boys have a mother that comes home from having some sort of a surgical thing happen, and it's not quite their mother. They don't know who it really is. So anyways, I love this image. So shock, yes. I kind of went back and I thought about, there's a lot of crazy stuff in the 30s and 40s before the pre-code of comic books and cinema. And I love these insane comic books. There's a monkey brain being pulled out of the head there, horrific stories, bullet hole in the head. These were done in the 40s, in the 1940s. Why was I not a child in the 40s? I would have eaten this up. I would have loved it. There's all this wonderful imagery, and the more I learn about this, the more I realize, wow, there's some amazing, horrific stuff that kids were, totally exposed to before the pre-code went in. Look at this guy getting melted by horrible eyeballs. I mean, I would have killed to read that stuff as a kid. Hot searing poker to the eyeball. I mean, it's amazing. Kids were buying this stuff. I love this stuff. And then you have the fear of radioactive fallout and the Cold War is happening. Look at this. This guy's face is melting, and I'm smoking radium. The more stuff I find of this, the more I'm just like shocked that it was available. And I really wish I could have been around to see this. I saw my own version of these things, slightly sanitized compared to this. But all wonderful 40s and 50s. There's great volumes you can buy of this stuff all collected. And again, it's really incredible imagery. And then you get into the shock of the teenage rebellion. I love these kind of films. Teenage killers and a killer rampant teenage crime wave. Chicken is not just a word, it's murder. Teenage Thunder. There's a whole slew of these wonderful sort of like shocking cinema to get parents to be worried about their teenagers, which is kind of funny in the 40s and 50s. And there's a whole slew of these things. They're wonderful. Yeah, like Drag Strip Girl, Hot Rod Gang, Hot Car Girl, Hot Rod Rumble, Juvenile Jungle, A Girl Delinquent, A Jet-Propelled Gang Out for Fast Kicks, a Hot Rod Girl. I mean, there's just any number of these. This one's really, I love the beautiful painting in here, Murder at 120 miles per hour. Yeah, again, can you imagine parents seeing this stuff? Oh my God, what is my daughter doing? I love that. And this is also the age of the drive-in theaters coming around, and because TV was becoming so popular, they would have to do something to get people to go to the cinema to make it more shocking, and they would do widescreen presentations, whatever it took to get people in the theaters. I love this kind of movie-making stuff that makes people hysterical. And then you get into the 60s, and of course, you gotta have the women in this, the miniskirt mob. They play around with murder like they play around with men. I love that. They're hog-straddling female animals out on the prowl. Again, well, how can you shock the audience? I love this. And this is an incredible movie. Who has seen this movie? Oh, not many. Yeah, there's an insane scene where this woman actually like breaks this guy's back. I was truly surprised. Amazing stuff. Super women, belted, buckled, and booted. Yeah, again, how do you get the audience excited to want to see this stuff? And it would have been fun to see these back then. I'm curious what the audience thought of this stuff. And then you get into the whole zombie sort of horror stuff happening in the 60s and the 50s. The Black Sleep, a horde of monster mutants walks the earth. The Brain Eaters, that's a beautiful painting. I don't think I can hang that in my house. I'd like to, but it's awesome. Beautiful, beautiful imagery. Crawling, slimy things, terror bent on destroying the world. This is the whole horror genre in the 50s and 60s, which is great. I Bury the Living. Shocks that challenge the imagination. I love that line. Shocks that challenge the imagination. They probably have never seen or hoped you hadn't seen something like this. The most spine-chilling cry that ever froze blood. Again, look at this design. I love the design. It gets people enticed. Often these posters were way better than the films themselves. Because I was of the VHS generation. Do you remember that? Walking through the VHS stores like, oh, look at the cover of this thing. It's going to be amazing. And it's horrible. But it gets you to rent the movie. So I love that kind of stuff. And then you get the classic, this is a beautiful poster from Italy, Psycho, which is an incredible piece of cinema. And I'm sure most of you have seen it, but this particular scene, as you know, the shower scene, is just incredible how they shot this scene and how graphic the shapes are. Saul Bass worked on a lot of this stuff. And you get sort of slightly titillating shots, but look at the graphic nature of these things. And then you get this wonderful shot where the camera's pulling out of the drain into the iris, and she's dead on the floor. This is an incredible piece of cinema if you haven't seen it, but really surprising at the time. The really shocking thing, though, is that this is based on true stories. The book by Robert Bloch called Psycho was written about this horrible person, Edward Gain. Anybody know about this guy? Who apparently dug up dead bodies and made lampshades out of them. But man, when you dig into what this guy did, it's truly shocking stuff, what they found in his house. And the Texas Chainsaw Massacre also ties into some of this stuff that happened. So this is truly shocking, real history. And if you want to dig into it, you might want to. It's really nasty stuff. Then you get into The Night of the Living Dead. This is amazing cinema, too. They won't stay dead. And I love the tagline of this poster. No love story, no hero, no heroine, no message, no questions, no answers, just terror. Which gnaws at your very being. I love the idea of trying to pitch something like that at Pixar. Like, there's no love story. There's no message. What do you guys think? Yeah, no, it would never happen. But I just love that this is the kind of ad campaigns they would go. And this is truly shocking stuff. If you watch this movie and imagine it coming out, I think it was 1968, it's pretty incredible stuff. And these guys the filmmakers were being exposed to the race riots. They were being exposed to the beginning of the Vietnam War. And I think that all fed into what is in this cinema. Then you get into this. This movie is truly terrifying, super low budget, and again, based on the Edward Gaines stuff. I think it was a big influence on what happened in this film. Has anybody seen this? Anybody? Yeah? It's worthy cinema of looking at. It's truly low budget, but incredible what they pull off. And it is really, really disturbing stuff happening in this. There's a great book called Chainsaw Confidential, written by Leatherface himself, the actor who plays Leatherface. And it's a really wonderful read about how they made this movie and what took to get it done. But the thing that was the most shocking to me was that they made a lunchbox and a thermos, for kids. Why was I not a kid when this was made? I would have happily carried this to school. Can you believe that? It's amazing. Think of how sanitized life is now for our kids. They would never do that. I was so shocked, but happily shocked to see, oh, wow, yeah, you could go buy that and take it to school. No problem. 1973, 70s. Yeah, so again, what was shocking back then is radically different than what it is now. And again, how sanitized life is. I feel for the kids that weren't exposed to this kind of stuff. Again, I love that for the kids. Yeah, it'll sell really well. Then you get into The Exorcist. This is truly also great, shocking cinema, directed by William Friedkin. And most of you have seen this? Anybody seen this? Yeah? Oh, not as many as I thought. Okay. Well, I'm going to show you guys a scene from this director's cut that came out. I had never seen this movie until this director's cut came out. And this scene was shocking for me, and I've seen a lot of crazy stuff. But yeah, look at this image. That's just amazing. Okay. So in this scene, young Regan she's starting to become possessed. And this particular scene, it wasn't cut because of shocking reasons, I think. It was cut because you could see the wires that were holding the person up, and it just didn't look good. So now they can digitally remove all that stuff. Anyways, it's still a really shocking shot, and it's really, really effective. Okay, do we have sound? Yes, we're good? Okay. Wow. That's pretty cool. Yeah. I was like, oh, that's really creative and really interesting. And I'm surprised it wasn't in the original cut. But then you realize, oh, it wasn't because of shocking reason per se, but just you could see the wires and it didn't look good. But it's great. This movie is really effective. I got to see him speak, William Friedkin, recently, and he's a great speaker. If you ever get to see him talk, he's full of one story after another. Can't move ahead here. All right, Jaws. This is another great movie in the 70s. Who saw this in the 70s? Yeah, see, I was 5 years old when this came out, and this was the era of the drive-in, and of course your parents just took you to see whatever was at the drive-in, because you got the kids out of the house, so I saw this when I was 6. And I remember sitting on the roof of my parents' car, one of those massive station wagons, and when this movie was over, I was so frightened, I did not want to get off the roof of the car. And I remember my dad going, there's no water anywhere, just trying to get me off the roof of this car. And I live in a beach town. My wife's been there. And did I swim that summer? No. But it's a fond memory for me. My wife likes to call it bad parenting. But yeah, it's wonderful stuff. So I love those memories. And this sort of changed cinema in terms of the popcorn movie. People went back to see this multiple times. And then you kind of have the not so good sequels that came out after it. And then, of course, you have David Cronenberg. Anybody a David Cronenberg fan? Yes. Yeah, Flesh and Machine, and yeah, if you want to see truly shocking imagery, this is just 2 of some of his early work. Scanners has the infamous exploding head scene, which is insane. He actually started the movie with that scene, but surprisingly enough, the audience wasn't so into a movie starting that way. So he shifted it later in the movie. Videodrome is just full of shocking imagery, and I recommend watching his stuff. It's not for everybody, but if you want to challenge yourself to see what cinema can do, I recommend it. His stuff is it's wonderful, and I really admire what he does. And then you have The Thing. Who has seen The Thing from 1982? Yes. Oh, this movie is just marvelous. Full of great sci-fi, horror, it's all mixed together. This is a wonderful ensemble cast movie. If you guys want to learn about good filmmaking, I suggest watching this with the director commentary, because he's very good with camera and he's very good with characters in this film. I'm going to show you guys a scene from this movie that was truly shocking, and it's still really effective. For those that have not seen it, I'm curious to see what you think of it. So you have an alien that has entered this Arctic compound, and the thing they realize is that it takes people over and you don't know who is who. So paranoia truly sets in by the middle of this movie. And so somebody has a heart attack while there's all this paranoia setting in. So there you go.
So you sweethearts are about to have yourselves a little lynching party, huh? No, I might just have to put an end to you on general principles, Knowles. Ever occur to the jury that anybody could have got some of my clothes and stuck them up the furnace?
We ain't buying that.
Quit that bickering over there. Windows, wheel that defibrillator over here. Put some grease on those panels.
You're gonna have to sleep sometime, McCready.
I'm a real light sleeper, child. Anyone tries to wake me.
Clear! Clear!
Clear. Wow. Yeah. For those that have not seen this movie, do you want to see more? Okay, that's a good thing. That's what you want. This scene is amazing. I saw this movie at the Castro Theater about 5 or 6 years ago, and I could tell that a lot of fathers had brought their sons to see this, so I kind of sat in the back. And just to watch that reaction was worth it alone. It was amazing for this scene. That is really creative stuff. That's pretty amazing. It looks easy, but that's all practical effects, really hard to do. And man, if I had thought of that idea, oh my God, I could never work on a movie ever again, and I'd be happy, you know? That's some truly great stuff. Carpenter's underrated. He makes great movies, hit and miss, but he makes great films. So I suggest watching this. It's really, really good cinema, good paranoia cinema. And it's also based off the 1950s movie called The Thing from Outer Space, I think. And that's worth watching that too. Maybe you could watch that first and then watch this. They're very different. But again, really shocking scenes there. There's plenty of stuff to see. Has anybody seen Man Bites Dog? Anybody? Yes. That's one of the few movies I've seen where like half the theater walked out. And yes, that is a baby pacifier in the corner of that picture. This is the horrible stuff goes on in this film. But it's cool cinema. It's really interesting. There's also this, Tokyo Gore Police. Anybody seen Tokyo Gore Police? Yes. Nice. Good taste. This is Japanese splatterfest cinema at its best. Any idea that you could think of that would be too insane, it's in this movie. There's a group called Sushi Typhoon, the collective of Japanese filmmakers, and they all work together to make these insane movies like Machine Girl. Girl gets her arm tempura battered and then cut off, and then she places it with a machine gun. Robo Geisha, half robot, half geisha. Yeah, I love this cinema because it's all the insane ideas that you think, no one's going to do that, but they do it. And yeah, that's shocking. Splatterfest cinema. Frankenstein's Army. Has anybody seen Frankenstein's Army? Yes. I was able to bring this movie to Pixar with the filmmaker, and it was wonderful to see the people that would show up to this. This is really creative cinema because it's all practical effects. Everyone does CG stuff. And I don't like that. I think practical effects are much better, much more interesting, much more creative. And we've stayed in touch, and I would love to do some work with this guy, but this is great, great cinema. And when you have Nazi zombies, you cannot go wrong, right? Yeah, you can't. It's really entertaining. So I was trying to think of a way, how can I wrap this up with a nice image? And I found this movie poster that even I was like, oh my God, I can't believe they went there. But it is faithful to the story that it's telling. And that would be this. The swastika, Dead Snow 2. But, yeah, it's un-PC and shocking, but these two arms are integral to the story. Has anybody seen this movie? Or the first one? Yes. I love this. I was like, wow, they went there with this. But the arms are true to the story, to what is in the film. So yeah, that's the way to get people interested in your movie, is this very un-PC image. But it's entertaining, it gets people thinking, like, what the hell is this? Why would they use this? But the arms, it's all about the arms. Anybody who has seen this movie knows that the arms are essential to the story that they're trying to tell. This is Death Note 2, so you gotta see the first one to see this. Okay, so if you guys wanna see more of this stuff that's local, Another Hole in the Head, has anybody gone to this? Another Hole in the Head's a great film festival, yes, in San Francisco. It's international kind of B horror sci-fi stuff. And then local, which I think just happened, the Scream East Bay Express Horror Film Festival, which is great. I think this is more local filmmakers. So if you want to support that kind of stuff, I recommend going to both of these. It's really important that we keep these film festivals, especially the small ones, coming to the Bay Area. Okay, that's it.